Okay, so I'm in the lobby of the CRD, or Capital Regional District building, and I've just come in and picked up my information package because I'm helping out with the Victoria bike census. So here's the forms that they gave me, and yeah, it's kind of a perennial thing that they always manage to misspell my name on them. Anyway, so I'll be doing that next week, but I just wanted to show people what's up with that. So the planning office is over there. And I'm just going to go and look around a little bit at some of the stuff around the CRD office, which is downtown in the former police station. And here we go, just grabbing my backpack, and we can head out the front door here. Okay, so here we are on Frisgard. And this is one of the major streets that makes up Chinatown in Victoria. So I'm just going to head towards the intersection here. And you can see we've got the Gate of Harmonious Interest here, which is a major landmark. I think it's so, and Dr. Lai, who has retired now, had a hand in that. So our street here is QV's, a little restaurant that was famous for being one of the ones that was open late at night, which was not the case in Victoria. It's still not exactly a great town for having stuff like late after hours, but QV's you could go to quite late in the evening, and a lot of people used to drive in from towns like Sydney because there was nothing open where they were. Anyway, so let's see. There's the old, in the corner there, the white building is the old Hudson Bay store, which is now made into condos and things, and a public marketplace. You can see that they kind of repurposed the decoration around here to have this Chinese theme. So red being dominant color because that's a really auspicious color in Chinese folklore. And the regrettably retro and possibly almost racist connotation of the Chinese-looking lettering on the signage. I mean the English part, not the actual Chinese part, which is kind of a little ironic, I think. Let's see, the phone booth, very retro. And yeah, so they've got a little garden here at this corner. Some ginkgo trees and a statue of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. And here we have the Kugel ball, or I guess that's redundant because I'm sure that they're just called Kugels, K-U-G-E-L. And ours is made to look like a globe. And you can spin it right here. And it has, on this map, all the cities that Victoria area towns are twinned with. So you can see they've got markings on here for other cities and towns around the world. There we go. Morioka, Japan, say. And it's an interesting little landmark to look at. Now, it's kind of, you can see when winter begins because that's when the water that the balls are sitting on freezes up, and so they have to put a cover on the Kugel sculpture so that it doesn't get damaged during the winter. So that's kind of the start of the winter season and the end of the tourism season, kind of when they cover the ball up. So over there is City Hall, and Centennial Square. So that's a major gathering area for Victoria. And yeah, it's an interesting little intersection here. Across the way, you can see some of the old buildings down the street are the multi-story buildings. And those are built in the old days when Chinese people, like other Asians, weren't allowed to own property elsewhere in the city. So they had to live over the shop if they owned a restaurant or a shop. And so that's where the family would reside. Now after the war, they kind of slacked off on that kind of enforcement, and although the language, the covenants that prevented people who are Jewish or black or Asian from buying homes in places in Victoria and also in Vancouver ended up, they weren't quite as attentive to those as times were changing. And so that corner building there, the Ocean Garden restaurant, that was built right after World War II. And so for the first time, the people who own the restaurant could now live elsewhere in town. That's why it's a one-story. And it's not quite the same configuration as those older buildings up the street there. So one of the restaurants, the one next to the Ocean Garden actually, the white signage, is a noodle shop that used to be a really well-known Chinese restaurant here in town. And it was the famous second office of BC Premier Dave Barrett, because he used to spend so much time there. People say, oh, it's like the Premier's office. So quite often he'd be found having Chinese food there for lunchtime with some of his friends and colleagues. And it's still a Chinese restaurant, although it's since changed hands. And one of my favorite places to eat in town. Anyway, so the street that goes like this is Government Street. And this is like a major thoroughfare in downtown Victoria, and this eventually will lead to the legislature if you walk that way. So yeah, this is a typical quiet afternoon on a Friday in early October in downtown Victoria, the old part of town. It's kind of a bit touristy in recent years because of all the souvenir shops and things. That's mostly over on closer to the legislature on that side though, but you know, it's still a place you could come and hang out. And QV's has a really good burger, and they also have a pretty amazing piece of chocolate cake there as well. A good place to come and hang out. All right.